Hello there. It's episode 9. Still going, despite the fact that my head's a wee bit wonky today. Ben will know that I was on his podcast. I was hitting the cheeky vimp toes yesterday. Yes, we are here. It's episode 9, and it's the big day. This is the biggest of all the days in the Euros, except for maybe one of the countries that wins it in the final. But hopefully that country's not England. That's all I can say. Now, this is Mr. Benjamin Bloom. His motto on his football channel, the Benjamin Benjamin Bloom football channel, which has lots and lots of subscribers on YouTube, a lot more than me, is leave your bias at the door. Well, on the Tartan Daily, we very much do not do that. So, yes, bias is well and true. And the first thing that Ben said to me is, that podcast that you were on with me, the comments are hilarious. So I'm expecting to get a few pelters. But how are you the day, Ben? Are you as excited as me for this biggest of all football games?
I've just overcome your flagrant disrespect to the English nation yesterday. I'm good. And you're down in London. You're closer than me. I'm here in Bedfordshire. We've got some lovely Scottish weather for you here, ready for the match. It's belting it down in Bedfordshire, I tell you.
Yeah, it's turned here. It's Scotland has a wee bit of proprietary language, dreich, which is a word for a day that is epitomised by grey dullness, right? And it's unsurprising that we have a word that just encapsulates that whole thing. But yes, it's a very dreich day in London today. But I my flagrant disrespect for the English you mentioned. I was on Ben's channel yesterday talking about Scotland. He was hitting me with the questions to preview the big game. So if after watching this you want something to do, then go over there and give that a wee watch.
It's very hostile and very confrontational. Stuart's very aggressive for the whole show.
Got to be, mate. Got to be. Properly channeling my William Wallace Braveheart.
I hope people can read my sarcastic voice, Stu.
I hope so. But even if they can't, what I want you to read is the comments with people slagging me on that video. So hit me with them first before we get
let's do a couple. So you very, very disrespectfully and provocatively called the English both arrogant and entitled. I think you also called them twerps, bums, and no, you didn't do that. You did call them arrogant and disrespectful. Can I just read the first one? I really like this. Is probably my favorite straight away. This is Ewan. Where are the subtitles?
Good.
You've got respect for that one.
I even had my wanting to be understood by Middle England voice on yesterday.
Right, here's a good one. This is from Harry Bish Crew. I know it's just opinion, but I did find it funny how the Scottish bloke says England fans feel entitled and overhype their team, which I think we probably do the opposite, then proceeds to overhype a bunch of players that are mainly on the bench for their clubs and says Tierney is better than Maguire. This is how disrespectful you were, Stuart.
Tierney is a better player than that. Anyway, any others that you want to pick out? You got one for the hat.
I wanted your reaction.
I'm just mate. I just take it in the chin. That's me. Because
I'm trying to find another
English people. These arrogant, entitled English people are just going to write other comments.
There's one here
to do so.
There's one here directed at me from Thomas that says that opening partridge on steroids. I love it. So I got compared to the worst broadcaster in the history of the universe. So there we go.
I had that total partridge one in episode 2 of this where I rapped Eminem lyrics and put Shea Adams' name in the rap. But they forgot about Shea. You know the song Forgot About Dre? I don't know if you remember that.
Oh, nice. Nowadays, everybody want to talk. Like they got something to say, but nothing comes out. They move their lips. It's just a bunch of gibberish, yeah.
And they forgot about Shea.
Oh, there you go. Do you know, I can do that whole song, but there's a lot of Fs and, dare I say, Ns in that I couldn't do on your show. At all.
Yeah, you're going to be cancelled, man, and don't get me cancelled. Now, everyone, there's a couple of people have said hello in the comments. People that like you as well. Stu saying, Benji Bloom, what a legend. Wish the vast majority of Ingerlund idiots in the media, Motson, Tilsley, Cougat, Inverdale, etc. Football's gamming home brilliantly. I like that.
Oh, goodness me.
And
thank you, Stu.
All right, chaps. So you are. I think that means that you're not a gammon monster, mate. I think that's what that means.
I look a bit like one today. I'm a bit red in the face today, I have to say. Been out in the sun, but I had that horrible moment where I went in the car just an hour ago and I had to turn the temperature from low back onto warm. But anyway.
Now, talking of like comparing your face to meat, right? One of the best lookalikes I've ever seen was Alex McLeish being compared to Brady. It doesn't sound funny, but it's absolutely hilarious.
What did you say?
Google. Let me try it now. If you
Alex McLeish gets bad rap for his management. What a player!
Mm-hmm. He was a brilliant player,
and Willie Miller as well. What a player!
Yes, very good players, mate. Very good players. I don't know how to do the thing where I bring up the browser window and get this on it, but just Google Alex McLeish and Brady Tam. Anyone?
Oh, okay. Nice.
Well worth the money. Now, let's actually do some podcasty stuff, mate. Tell me about today's game. Tell me how you're feeling ahead of it. Are you feeling arrogant and entitled?
Never, ever. You're talking to look on the wall. That Ipswich Town scarf makes me not arrogant or entitled in any way, shape, form. Although it's like my grounding; it drags me down. Very excited. I'm excited now, but I'll actually get very nervous when we get towards the game, and I'll look at Andy Robertson and I'll see Roberto Carlos or something, and I'll look at John McGinn and I'll see, I don't know, Steven Gerrard or something like that. But no, very, very excited. We've had leak today, and we do think Harry Maguire is not going to be starting. It's going to be Stones and Mings, don't we? So really, I think the only question is, will Chilwell probably Chilwell over Shaw? Will Chilwell come in over Trippier, or will Southgate go completely unchanged? So I'm hoping for a nice bit of boring stability from Southgate and the English selection. And yeah, then I'm sure your boys are going to really, first 15 minutes that's the danger time, isn't it? Where you guys can swing the game in your favour if it's going to swing in your favour. And then I'm hoping things cool down and without any sense of arrogance or entitlement, that probably the extra quality the English have got on the pitch, hopefully can then tell later in the game. That's my hopes for it.
Aye. I mean, what? I don't know about putting a number on it, but like, how much of a chance have Scotland got here? Because we're coming up against, let's be honest, a vastly better side. But anything can happen in a game of football. One of the oldest cliches in the book. And this has got the feel, for me, it's got the feel of an FA Cup tie a wee bit. You're going to the home of the bigger team that sort of plays close by, and you're going there to try and sort of rain in their parade a wee bit, when you might get actual rain as well, looking outside. But I just think Scotland, I think we properly need to have a go. I mean, we'll set up at times with the low block and be hard to break down. Obviously, the game's going to have spells like that. But when we get the ball, we need to use it and we need to attack. And I think that's got to be the tactic that Scotland adopt, surely, because anything else would be letting down the fans who have waited 3 years to see us get a chance to do something like this. And it's pretty epic.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you mentioned the sort of mid-low block or whatever it's going to be. And if the wing-backs fold back into the 5, and then you do expect a row of 3 in front of them. And that, if it goes wrong, that can become a flat back 8 pretty quickly, can't it? But it's that out ball, isn't it? And like you were mentioning yesterday, whether it's a Ryan Fraser, whether it's Christie, whoever the out ball is, whether it is Lyndon Dykes, and get someone as close to him as you can. It's you probably would imagine that in terms of the ball being dominated, the Scots are probably not going to dominate the ball. Therefore, it's transition and it's, can you catch England up the pitch will Declan Rice actually move off that defensive midfield position and then work from there? Of course, if you have the names we mentioned, Robertson, from an attacking sense, I guess, someone like a Ryan Fraser or a Che Adams or John McGinn, they can score past England. If they get the chances, they can score. But it's, like you say, it's making the most of the ball and creating the big chances, isn't it?
Here's one for you. Obviously, Dean Henderson's dropped out of the squad. Is Nick Pope a better keeper than Jordan Pickford?
It's not for Gareth Southgate, no. For Sean Dyche, yes. Okay. Yeah, because we had Nick Pope in one of the qualifiers, and poor guy looked rather nervous
as well, wasn't he?
Yeah. So we're kind of behind him in my sort of echo chamber, but no, he was being asked to service the back three with the ball, and he tried to ping it out to the fullback, and it didn't work. And I think what Pickford gives you is the ability to do that. Good personality. The difficult thing is the comparison with someone like Joe Hart, where you have someone who gets too hyped up and too emotional. And I just have one of the most brutal things you'll ever see in football is the Andrea Pirlo penalty against Joe Hart, where you have someone who's overly emotional and possibly the most calm man ever to play football. But Stu, when you can leverage someone's own emotion against them, and you've got Joe Hart yelling and waving his hands, and he just dinks it straight down the middle. So that's the worry. But
absolutely glorious, by the way. That brilliant moment.
Do you know my general reaction? The last Panenka penalty I saw was actually scored by Wayne Rooney at Derby against Barnsley or something. I tend to just laugh when I see Panenka penalties. I find them very, very amusing. But and this is something Gareth Southgate really just keeps repeating the whole time. Stay calm, lack of emotion. Obviously, you see the Italians the other night, and we discussed this. Emotion can be a great thing when you see Chiellini singing the national anthem and the way they celebrate the goals. But we need calmness. We need a calm Jordan Pickford. It would help to get Harry Maguire in front of him at some point, but
I'll tell you what, like the way Scotland win this game is by making England emotional. I think
100%.
If England remain calm, I think they win the game. But I mean, it would be a real leveler if England end up getting someone sent off for a rash tackle or something. I'm looking at Declan Rice, Calvin Phillips, maybe. Then.
I've seen Calvin Phillips get sent off. Actually, he has. He's an interesting one, Calvin, because he's obviously the whole Bielsa thing makes him incredibly calm. You know, this whole repetition. There's a game against QPR where I have to say, as a dodgy goal went against Leeds, it was a clear hand ball, and he just lost it at the end and went right through. I can't remember who it was. Might have been Luke Freeman, possibly. I can't remember. He went right through someone and got himself red carded. So there is a fuse there. But I think having played a season of Premier League football, but you know as well as I do now, Stu, that you don't have to lose your temper to get red carded. You just have to miss time of tackle by half a second nowadays, and especially if it goes to VAR and they play it in hyper slow motion where everything looks like a Mike Tyson punch or something, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it does make things look a lot worse than they are. And a lot of tackles look like that. Like Jay Fulton's, for example, in the playoff final is a good example of a tackle that looked a lot worse in the replay, I think.
Was he not around the squad here? I like him as a... No?
Nah, I mean, if you look at our options in midfield, I think we're blessed with too many options. And
yeah, right.
He's just not of the record to fight.
Yeah,
he's a good player.
Good player, yeah.
He's not Scotland central midfield good, I don't think. Because that is.
I think that's the difference, Stu. When you compare sorry to interrupt, when you compare the Scots and the Welsh are having to rely on a few championship players, aren't they? Whereas the Scots, you've got a midfield with a Southampton player, a Manchester United player, and a Villa player. It's a different level than
we've got with respect. Right back though.
So, yeah. But I was talking about the Welsh, starting with Joe Morrell of Luton. And I know Joe Allen's been a great player, but he's not the Joe Allen from 2016.
He's on the Stoke now. Isn't he?
Yeah.
No, I think so. Joe Morell's an interesting one. I think he's probably a better player than the club he's at. Not that they're doing that badly in recent times, but I think he's quite good because alongside the class of like an Aaron Ramsey, I think Morell's level of busyness is really good in their midfield. And I think
he brings a good modesty and humbleness, doesn't he, next to Ramsey?
Energy as well, it's energy and just running and grit and willingness. And that's what Scotland are going to need to do the night. We're going to need to run through brick walls time and time again. And I just hope that our physicality stands up to the test of playing against England, because all of the England players are just monsters,
Two questions for you, Stu. Are we going to see Paul Lambert on the BBC coverage? And did you know Paul Lambert used to play for Borussia Dortmund?
That actually was quicker than Paul Lambert. Yes, I did know he used to play for Borussia Dortmund. Really cool.
Just in case no one had mentioned it or he hadn't mentioned it.
I just wanted to mention that. I played for Borussia Dortmund. Aye, but that he's Dreich. He's actually, I'm talking about epitomised by Dreich.
Can I give you?
He's actually got here to go now as well.
Can I give you one bit of information that might change your life and help you? Did you know Jude Bellingham is 17?
I did know that. I think it's quite. I think he's an exciting talent, but he's not got the Wayne Rooney 2004 factor yet. I mean, he might.
That's a high bar.
He might. Well, because that was the best period of Wayne Rooney's career. He was one of those players that peaked in his teens, like Michael Owen.
Same as I was just going to say, Michael Owen. Yeah. And as an English fan, you look back at that tournament and the injury to Rooney, and then you losing on penalties yet again.
See, of that golden generation, that was the one you would have won, because you would have beat Greece. Rooney would have unlocked that Greek defence. Like, he had it.
No, Stu, Rooney, at that point, you're right. Rooney was a force of nature. He was, he could have just got through anyone. Can I do a clanging name drop?
Go for it.
We had Kieran Dyer on the Ipswich podcast the other day, and he was talking about England.
Did you recognise who he was? Like, you knew who you were talking to. By the way, for anyone that's uninitiated, I'm referring to a clip that I think it was ITV Anglia, maybe, or BBC.
Oh, where they asked him about the team, not realising he was the best player in the team.
Exactly. It was hilarious. Yeah. Who'd you play with? What do you do? Ipswich. Yeah. So, right. What level do you play? First team. Yeah. It's just like you're sitting there like that as a journalist going.
But Kieran was talking about the centre backs when I can go chapter and verse. I've got a good Kiefer Moore story actually. If you want,
I look forward to that. But also Neil Doherty was on the pod as well. He's proper big Scotland fan. Thanks for watching, Neil. I'm glad you're tuning in.
Was he as equally disrespectful as you were, Stuart? No. Good on you, Neil.
We're talking about setting bars, mate. I set a new bar for disrespect.
Anyway, I was just going to say, when Kieran was in the squad in 2002, he listed the centre-backs, and it was, I can't even do it justice, Sol Campbell, Rio Ferdinand, John Terry, Ledley King, Jamie Carragher, Martin Keown. And wow. I know it's insane, and that was around that time. That was pre-Rooney coming in, but
who do you think's the best pundit out of them? Like, do you?
Oh Christ!
I
can't count Gary Neville in there. Carragher probably, I reckon.
Carragher's probably the best, isn't he? I think Martin Keown says things that it suggests that he's been Hunter S. Thompson before the game.
Like, I would bow to your superior knowledge on anything punditry wise, and I'd also plead the fifth. Because we've been doing watch-alongs. I've literally not watched the game in the Euros that I haven't been covering on a watch-along, so I haven't heard any of the commentary. Can I give Neil my Kiefer Moore story?
Yes, and he says that it was that was in the Lambert and Bellingham vibe, as we know, mate. I like it. Aye, hit us with a Kiefer Moore story, mate. Go.
So I was up doing a Sheffield United game. And as you probably do, whenever you're commentating on them, I ended up you go up early, professional, end up in the Meadow Hall or whatever it is, eating
shopping centre,
TGI Fridays or whatever it was. And I think it's around Christmas. So I think I got like a present for my missus or something. And I'm walking down. So Kiefer Moore is at Ipswich at this point, on loan at Rotherham. So he was local to the area. So I'm walking down the thing, and there he is, stood just by the door. He's obviously waiting to meet somebody. Last thing he wants to do in the entire world is talk to a football fan. Times that by 2, an Ipswich fan. Okay, so I go up to him and open with the immortal words, "Are you Kiefer Moore?" I couldn't think of anything better. And he went, "Yeah." And I went, "Oh, pleased to meet you."
You ask that. He's like 9'11", and you're
he wasn't as
Kiefer Moore, big man.
He wasn't as famous as he is now, especially scoring in the Euros. Now he's reached...
Yeah, but he was still huge, right?
Oh, he's like 6'5" or something, and I'm 5'8", so he's like way taller than me. So I shook his hand and said, "Oh, can we have a picture? Is that all right?" Took a picture with him, and then I tried to engage him in conversation with the opening line, "I'm an Ipswich fan," from that, because obviously he was at Ipswich, but he'd been loaned out to Rotherham, and the obvious thing was that the Ipswich owner was just going to cash in without him barely kicking a ball at Ipswich, and then he was sold to Barnsley, I think, in the January. I think I'm right about that. Someone will correct me in the chat, but it was just
bouncing down the leagues as well again, didn't he?
Only down to League One, but he's done just to talk about it. It's been so brilliant, his ascent. It's been just fantastic that. And someone mentioned it in the thing. Even simple things like the level of coaching you've received compared to compare the level of coaching Phil Foden has had already compared to Kiefer Moore's 15-year career or whatever. Phil Foden's had elite coaching probably from the age of about 14 or something, hasn't he?
Well, that's an interesting thing, and we kind of visited that sort of topic in the Shea Adams pod, episode 2, because he obviously broke through Ilkeston Town and was playing in the non-league, and it's obviously a complete different type of grounding to the sort of factory of superhuman footballers that Man City are churning out. But to bring it back onto tonight's game, what are you scared of in this Scotland team? Is there anything you look at and you think, you know what, we need to be on the lookout for that today?
Overload, right-hand side, transition, Andy Robertson is scary. And if you're talking about Tierney as well and the two of them dovetailing, I think we're all right if it's not on a transition. If, Kyle Walker is probably the fastest right back in the whole tournament, isn't he? But if he's up the pitch and Declan Rice is not on the cover, that's the one, isn't it? And Stu, anyone can score a set play. Anyone. You could put, Ilkeston Town against Real Madrid, and Ilkeston can score a set play. They just can. So, it's those things.
That them we're not very big, as my concern.
Have you got anyone who can ping one in the top corner? Can Robertson do that?
David Turnbull, he's not good.
No.
So, Robertson, mate. There are a few players that could do that. The belly's just decided to give me hiccups, which is
strange though, Stu.
Broadcasting at all. So this is a first. I'm getting hiccups.
We were talking about the class players rising up. I thought David Alaba got it really wrong last night. They played him sweeper, Austria, and that was an example of the one world-class player being overutilized. So, do you know what I mean?
Arnautovic, that, by the way, because Marko Arnautovic thinks he's the one world-class player in the Austria team.
No, and
what's that all about, by the way? See that when he scored that goal in the opening game?
Well, I took one look and I thought it's got to be Alioski. It had to have been, if you've got Arnautovic and Alioski on the pitch together, it had to be. I don't know what he was doing.
He does that, and I like that. I just told him to get his act together. I actually tweeted after that. One of the best bits of social media what I did at Sky was this story about how everybody at West Ham wanted Arnautovic out. Right?
Really?
It just lost all the favour. And my job, I was in the social media team at that point, and obviously with a tweet, it's all about the social cell, and I put time for Arnie to get to the chopper. which I was quite happy with.
You are terminated.
The other good one that I had doing that job was it was just after the chat something get banged stuff with Jamie Vardy.
Nice.
There was a story linking him to Arsenal, and I just my social cell was score goals, get signed, which I thought was not too bad as well.
I'm terrible at that stuff.
And so am I, usually, like quite unimaginative. But that's the two good bits of social media work I did in about 2 years.
Great value
for Sky, so definitely get me back doing social media stuff. I'm getting to that stage now where I just wanted to be here, and then I'll get watching the game and I'll just want it to be over. I'm kind of sad that I'm not watching it with my family because it's been quite good watching the tournament with them. We shout out for the hashtag Hoos punditry thing that I'm doing. That's Hoos spelt like house but with 2 O's. Hoos punditry, which is things like Giorgio Chiellini looks like a painter with a hangover. It was a collaborative effort between my mum and dad. So
you try and run past him with a football though.
Well, I mean, like he's artistic in the way that he defends. But I think stuff like that. Anybody that's got any good ones of them, put on hashtag Who's Punditry.
You're just talking about the family, Stuart. I have vivid memories of Euro '96. I watched. It's just me and my father. It was glorious. Rite of passage watching with your father, and my dad's a fairly calm bloke, fairly placid. I don't know where I got it from. My mother, obviously. And we had this coffee table. I think they've still got it. And when Gascoigne scored, I remember my dad did a little lap of the coffee table celebrating as well. So, yeah, it is a shame to... it's great that we get to do it online now with people, chatting to us and whatnot. But, yeah, it is a shame, the whole
that is a good point.
COVID angle.
You're doing a watch along tonight, aren't you? For anybody that wants to do it. Not that any Scottish people would really want to, because. But for any of the English people that might be interested, I'd like you to do a wee plug for that.
And I'll give you a plug as well. On Tuesday the 22nd, we'll be there for where it's Croatia, Scotland, and England, Czech Republic at 8 p.m. So we'll be on that one, and I'm sure we'll be focused. I'll try and double screen it here and watch both at the same time. So yeah, but just through the Euros we're on. I guess if you're Scottish, you've got an appointment with some booze and some friends and a TV tonight. But check that out elsewhere where you can. Sure,
I'll be watching it with all my pals in London, which is going to be quite the thing. Then tomorrow, I'm on a TV thing, which is done in a studio for joe.co.uk.
What time?
At 11 in the morning.
Oh, okay.
No, but I'm also up at 7 a.m. to do NBA work for Sky, so that's going to be fun. It's
power through, Stuart.
It's going to be a challenging time. I think, to be honest, tonight I'm going to stay sober because if I start drinking, then I could drink myself into a stupor if we go on this game. So, I think I'll be keeping that a bit steady tonight. If you look at sort of tonight, we kind of covered this in sort of the chat we had, but for anyone who's not seen that on your channel, under what circumstances does Scotland win this game? Like, what can we? I mean, you've said the kind of things that you're scared of, but what set of circumstances need to happen? Do you notice every question I'm asking you is just basically trying to contrive a way to see how Scotland can win the game?
Yeah, right. Look, we did. The one thing the English have been, unfortunately, very capable of doing is getting in their own heads and, on occasion, defeating themselves and putting in these very stiff performances at international level where they just look kind of frozen and all the things they can do for their clubs they don't do. So, it sounds a little bit like I flipped the question and made it about England, but it is about England, honestly.
Arrogant and entitled, mate.
Yeah, right. There has to be some sense of underperformance from England, doesn't it? But come on, Stu, you've watched hundreds of football games. So have I. We've seen games where a goal goes in after 5 minutes and you're certain that the quote favourites are going to come back, and the clock ticks, and around and around and around it goes, and that chance doesn't come, and on comes sub number one, and one team gets more and more emboldened, whilst the other team gets more and more nervous. So, it does feel like it needs a bit of a perfect storm for the Scots, doesn't it? But look, we've seen it happen before. Although this tournament does seem to be going very favourite heavily, doesn't it?
Aye, that's that. I mean, I think what's happening in international football is kind of what we've seen in club football, where there's a kind of elite rung of clubs that are better than everyone else. I think there's now an elite rung of sort of nations, particularly in Europe, where they are just, there's a bit of a gap, a widening gap between them and the Austrias and Switzerlands of the world, you know. So, I think that's just reflective of kind of football at large, where it's kind of top heavy. But I don't know. I think we can win this tonight, but my main thing is I just hope we don't lose it badly. Like, I don't want us to lose the game and go out and get properly beat. Stu in the comments, actually, he's got a good one. He says, Scotland expect to get pumped. England expect to win. The yin and yang. And the yin and yang element is very true, because I think there is quite a distinction in the way that the two countries kind of maybe see themselves, and the expectations and what they want to achieve and how they want to go about achieving it. I think for Scotland, for England, it seems to be, particularly under Southgate, as much about the process as the result, if you know what I mean. For the most part, obviously the result's king at the end of the day.
For the staff, not for the fans.
Aye, no. I'm talking like for them. Whereas I think for Scotland, this tournament's all just about the results. And we didn't get one in the game that we were likely to get it. But Scotland have always been better in games against better teams. Like, when we're expected to beat teams, that's when we struggle. That's when we draw in the Faroe Islands and need a 97th minute goal against Liechtenstein at home and stuff like that. So
you just on English self-awareness quickly, in terms of Stu's comment, that Stu to this Stu, you are aware that there are a lot of England fans that will punch the air at full time and then go, oh, hang on a minute now, we're odds on to get one of Portugal, Germany or France in the second phase. And believe me, that we will not be expecting to win that game. So.
Thank you. You've just given me a crumb of comfort. So if we do get beat and England top the group, having beaten Scotland, or look odds on to top the group, then you're basically making essentially a second round casket for yourself, and that you will be playing a very, very good team. So
honestly,
really good. You've just given me a reason that it's all right if Scotland lose.
Well, look, on Saturday, we're going to learn a lot more about England's future in this tournament via the game between the fact that, and I'm not belittling this game, it's massive, but England have already got 3 points on the board. So the likelihood of qualification is high. Mm-hmm. But there's the small matter of it's Portugal, Germany. We expect the French to beat the Hungarians now and top the group. So basically, if England top Group D, they're going to get the winner of Portugal, Germany, probably, unless there's the perfect storm and the Portuguese beat the Germans and then beat the French, and England get the French in the second phase. Oh my God.
I mean, anyway, that group goes kind of pleases me, to be honest.
Unless the Hungarians can finish second somehow, which is not going to happen. But
so, right, how ridiculous is it, though, that Scotland would be better qualifying in third place than second? Right?
Oh,
you're talking about it from an English perspective, right? That's where this format is just a nonsense. Do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean. I know. And I look up here and I see some of them. So if you finish second in Group A, you get second in Group B. If you finish first in Group D, you get second in Group F. And okay, some of it's the luck of the draw that second in Group F is much more likely to be a much harder game than second in Group B. But I do, and I don't agree with the kind of reductive argument of, look, you've got to beat the good teams at some point anyway, so why not then? That's not true. That's like when people look at the fixtures and say, oh, well, you have to play everybody twice, so No, that's not. It's when you play them is key, and what's your momentum and what's their momentum at that point. And with the English, I genuinely don't know whether get straight into that huge game where you can potentially be. I mean, this is the thing, Stu. England can be knocked out. What day would it be? Monday the 28th could be done. Do you know what I mean? It's if they do get one of those teams, and looking at it now,
Geldof said we don't like Mondays. Do you know what I mean? But that would be a fine one for me.
Where does third place in Group D go? So third place in Group D gets first place in Group E or first place in Group B. So yeah, there's a big chance that the Czechs or the Croats or the Scots will have a better.
Save us to last, why don't you?
Who's bottom of the group at the moment? Is it Scotland? I think it is, isn't it? So I just went with the order of the. Just went with the order of the group.
That's fine. I was only teasing.
Czechs or the Croats. Oh, I didn't go alphabetical order, did I? Because it would have been Croats, then the Czechs, then the Scots. So I can't hide behind that one. But yeah, there's every chance. For example, if you draw this game, or even if you lose this game and win the last one 2-3-0, and get through as one of the 4 fastest losers, you get better drilled than England, I reckon.
I think that's the thing. So I just think that's nonsense. But listen, we're glad to be here. We're excited for tonight, nervous for tonight. And I think I gave all my sort of proper, qualified, thought out sort of analysis when I went on your pods, whereas today I'm just jangling with raw emotion. Like I'm sitting here and I'm genuinely, I've got like nervous energy. I'm sitting and you know that way when you just start doing stuff through nerves. So like my legs aren't sitting still on the floor. I'm going like that with my leg. Do you know what I mean? I've just got like loads of.
You want to come and take my dogs for a walk?
Too far away, mate. I'd probably end up just going round in circles, giving it. But I definitely feel the jangle of some nerves going into this. This feels different. It doesn't. I mean, if we'd, do you know the scenario where I would have been most nervous is if we'd drawn with the Czech Republic? Because if we'd beaten them, I would feel right. There's probably a good chance we get
nothing to lose at all. Yeah.
Actually, we probably want third. Like would be the way that I was looking at it. If we'd drawn with the Czechs, it would be like we need more points still, but we've got a right good chance. Whereas that had a total sort of deflating kind of thing.
No.
But then that just transforms the full thing. It transforms the full picture if we can win this game. I know my internet connection might be getting a bit dodgy, so
sure.
On that basis, I think we'll probably wrap up there. Is there anything else you want to sort of put forth before we do?
Yeah, I just want to show that because the English are we're just not confrontational and disrespectful. I'd just like to say best of luck to you, Stu. Good luck to the Scots. Even if it's not tonight, they can still get through and frankly probably get a better draw in the final game of the round. So good luck. And yeah, for everybody and for the Scots in London as well, go and have some drinks, but let's keep it nice and calm over there in London. And you know everyone,
the atmosphere's been amazing, mate. Like
good.
Everybody seems to be like, I think the difference between us and English fans is I think we police ourselves when we go away. Like there is a kind of thing in Scottish culture that we want to be representing our country well, whereas England's obviously got problems with hooligans and guys throwing deck chairs and stuff at each other, you know. So I'm prouder of the behaviour of our fans, and I'm prouder of our fans. I think we've got better fans than you, so that's one thing that makes me happy. And I reckon the 2,000 could outsing the 10,000 middle class people.
Oh dear. He's going down hooligans. He's going class wars now as well. Dearie me.
I'm just going for it, mate. I'm just going.
Any little victory now, hey?
That's it. I'll tell you what I will apologise for. I'll apologise for saying that Jordan Pickford's face annoyed me. That was a bit hard.
Stu, that's just in line with your very disrespectful behaviour over the past couple of days. I'm not surprised in any way, shape or form, buddy.
So, just in stark contrast to what you're saying, I wish you the very worst of luck. I hope if you get through, you get put out heartbreakingly in the semi-finals, so that you get the chance to build yourselves up into the belief that you can actually maybe win it this time.
But can you imagine, Stu? Can you imagine England win the group and then do beat one of whoever it would be, Portugal, France, Germany, and then they'll somehow contrive to stuff it up in the quarterfinals against, I don't know, like the draw will completely open up and you think, yes, it's going to happen. But yeah, you can't talk to me again.
Those immortal words, it's coming home. Well, I hope it just stays where it is. That's my view.
Yeah, right.
No, listen, I'll tell you what, mate. I hope it's a good game. That's the one thing. I mean, it's going to be tense, I think, but I hope it's no dull. You know,
there's just no way it'll be dull. I don't
think there is.
Yeah, there's just even if it is really, really tight and it's 0-0 at 75, that's not going to be dull. Do you know what I mean?
It's going to be dramatic and it's going to be captivating and very.
And then we're going to be bringing on Jack Grealish.
Aye. That's the worry, man. That is the worry. Right, listen, I'll tell you what, mate. Thank you very much for coming on. I appreciate
it. Stu. By the way, just if anyone can't read my sense of humour, I don't actually think Stuart's disrespectful, and I wouldn't do a podcast with him if I thought he was. So just to clear that up for anybody.
No, I would rather you hadn't. I would rather we hated each other.
I have a reputation to uphold here.
Do you know the only problem with us doing these things, mate, is we could literally do this for hours. You know what I mean? Like Jack and Chris Reeve, who did the 24-hour watch along.
Oh my God! Respect. Forget about the money for charity. How the hell did they do it?
It's pretty amazing. I reckon we could probably just fill 24 hours ourselves if we really pushed it. You know,
and 20 of it would be your disrespect.
Aye, that's it. And the rest of it would be your entitled arrogance, mate. And on that note, I will say thank you very much to everyone who has watched the Tartan Daily.
Can you give me what's a really good Scottish sign-off, and I'll try and do it.
Right, that's a deal. Although I do play a wee video at the end where I can plug all my stuff.
Well, what's a good...
On that note, before I give you one, where can people find you? I did sort of mention it at the start, but I'll let you do
yeah. At Benjamin Bloom on Twitter, the Benjamin Bloom football channel. Give me some Scottish stuff. Go on.
I'm trying to think of something appropriate.
Something that I'll butcher.
I know, that's fine. Right, let's get right into them and get torn into this English mob.
Let's get right.
Hold on. Let's get torn right into this English mob.
Let's get torn right into this English. But I sound like the guy off, the guy off Line of Duty. With the Steve Arnott guy who's got a really thick Scottish accent and has to put on that English accent.
Try again.
Can you say it one more time?
Let's get torn right into this English mob.
Let's get torn right into this English mob. That's Irish. What are we doing?
Neil Doherty says, good stuff, lads. Enjoy the match. Thanks for watching, Neil. Thanks to everyone else who has watched and anyone who listens to the podcast subsequently. Ben's channel is brilliant. Go over there and have a look at that. I'm also on the preview for this game. If you're bored and need something to do after watching or listening to this, then I would advise that you go do that. And I'm going to play my wee outro video, but just remember, troops, no Scotland, no party. Thank you for watching today's Tartan Daily. I hope you enjoyed the episode. We'll be doing each of these every day during the Euros, as long as Scotland are in the tournament. Remember, you can find me. I'm Hodgeythehack. That's Hodgey, the Hack, on all social media. So that's Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. If you were watching the stream on YouTube today, then please remember to hit the bell for notifications of future streams. And if you're listening on the podcast, then you can subscribe on your major podcast players, and please give a rating or a comment saying how much you enjoyed it. And remember, if you're enjoying these podcasts, then please share them with all your friends. Thank you very much for watching or listening. And remember, no Scotland, no party.